Well, here I am. Hey guys, Wellen Customs here, and today we are taking a look at the Mezco Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. This is the armored Batman from the 1/12 scale or the 6-inch scale of their collection right here. And this is not a new figure, but this is something that I've had for a while that I never did a review for. So I thought it was about time to finally do it. First off, I want to take a look at the box. It is a nice looking cover. You have a nice plastic over it that has a lot of pictures. Batman right there looks pretty cool. Some of the accessories on the bottom. But now let's take a look at Batman accessories because he has a lot of them. Alright, so Batman has a lot of accessories and they're pretty cool, I have to admit. So let's go through them one by one right now. Alright, so first off right here, he does come with a nice stand right here that has two plugs actually. One for the bottom of his foot right here, a little clear one you can plug inside here. And also another one for the stand itself. That's pretty standard. You open it up right here, you can put Batman in there. It also comes with this little accessory that you attach these black things right here, the wires, and you actually could clip the cape to it, and you clip it to this to give it a more dramatic effect. If you want to do that, it might take some time getting used to it to get all of the cape into it, so we don't have time for that right now, but you could definitely do that if you have the time. You also get a nice baggie to keep all of your accessories in. You do get an extra screw for his head, which we'll show soon later. Next right here, we do have his grenade launcher, the Kryptonite Gun, and this is probably the best one I've seen so far, including the one from Mattel, including the one from Maifix. This is just really cool looking. First off, the back over here does extend out a little bit, which is nice for his shoulder. This part over here also opens up, so you can put the Kryptonite ammo in there, which you get two of these. I'm trying to focus right there. You can see what it looks like. I'm guessing you just slide it in. It might not be the easiest thing to do, but there is a hole in there for him to go into. Let's see. There you go. It's in there, and you're ready to rock. But other than that, it is pretty nice. Nice detail on it, nice paint job. The material feels pretty good as well. You actually do get a strap, a real strap for it, which is pretty detailed as well. It basically is a real strap, which is insane. I don't think it clips open or anything like that, but it looks like it could, but I don't think it will. I don't want to force. Actually, it feels like there is some give. Oh my god, it actually does. That is insane. It's a real clip. So that is just really cool. So you can clip it onto Batman if you want to. You can adjust it maybe. Maybe you can't. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if you can't adjust it. I don't think so. But other than that, like I said, this is just a really cool looking gun. Alright, next off right here, we do have his grappling gun. Or some sort. It looks pretty cool. Not the same one you see him using when he's just in his regular outfit, but this is pretty nice too. He does have two grappling hooks right here, which are pretty nice. One is actually attached to a string, which is all tangled up, but this end right here, as you can see, has a little bit of a peg. I believe it could go inside here. Try to get it in there, and I'm pretty sure you can do some nice poses with that once you get it in. It's not the easiest though. Give me a second. Alright, I don't have the time to do that, but the grappling hooks are pretty cool. Here is the other one that does not have string on it, and they're pretty standard. They're actually pretty thin, but they are pretty flexible, so you don't feel like you're gonna break it, which is a pretty nice feeling as well. Alright, next up right here, we do have his spear with the kryptonite tip at the end, and this is a pretty hefty spear right here. It actually is made out of some kind of metal feeling, but it does actually bend. If you want to bend it, but it'll bend right back. So it is metal. Even out of the box, it wasn't the straightest, so I had to actually bend it myself. And this spear is actually very, very fragile. I actually broke mine taking it out of the box. I had to super glue it back together. It actually even warns you to be very careful on the label. But it is pretty nice, I have to admit. It looks pretty good. I don't know if you can tell where I broke it. But I super glued it back on, and you just have to be very gentle with this. But it definitely is pretty nice. The definitely the material of it, it feels really good. Like I said, it's like a metal feeling. Definitely is pretty good. Good details going down it as well. And here at the end is a tip, which is pretty sharp as well too. Alright, next for accessories, he does have 4 pairs of hands right here. Ones on him are fist hands like that. The second pair right here are pretty much like a open grip hand to hold stuff. The next one is a open palm hand, which is pretty self-explanatory. And the last one is more like a trigger finger for him to hold his gun. But pretty nice. They're really good material. They feel pretty thick as well. So that's always nice. So basically, like I said, these hands are pretty self-explanatory to how to use them. The one like this pretty much is for the grappling hook. It slides right in and definitely has a good grip on it because there's ridges right there are pretty snug in there in between his fingers, so you won't have a problem right there holding this one. Now when it comes to the spear, there is some give. There's some wiggle room as well, unless you put it on these specific parts right here, like right here as well. Like if you put it in the middle, it might get a little loose, like that. But you bring it back to around these parts, those thicker parts. It fits in pretty good, but I'm pretty sure this spear is meant for 2 hands to be held, so we'll show it off later. But that's just something you might want to know off the bat. And last but not least, he does have his trigger fingers right there, and this is pretty much for his grenade launcher, like that, and it fits in pretty well. Now another thing about this Batman figure, which is kind of an accessory, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, you can pop off the head right here, and what you do in the bottom over there, zoom in right there, is that you take a screwdriver, you unscrew this part, and you take this off, and the figure does come with 2 batteries which you stick in there, and you see the on and off switch. Bam! And that is awesome looking. I love that. Here it is with off and back on. And I think I'm going to do the rest of the review with it on, because he just looks so cool, just like that. Alright, so going back to the accessories and the hands and the guns, here is Batman with his grappling hook. I wasn't able to get the string into the grappling hook, but I was able to get the other grappling hook into the grappling gun, so it looks pretty good. Not bad right there. And I just want to point out how awesome these eyes look. I'm going to shut one light off. See how that looks like. That looks pretty cool. Let's shut both of them off. Oh, that is just so awesome. Pew. Love it. Alright, so next up right here, he is holding his spear with both hands. He's using both of those open fist hands that are pretty easily to put in. Like I said before, when you get them over that silver, more bulky part, they fit in pretty well right there. It definitely looks pretty cool. And of course, you can flip around the spear and have Batman holding it like this when he's about to stab Superman in the heart with it, which looks pretty cool right there. And last but not least, here he is holding his Kryptonite Gun. Looks pretty good. I am using the trigger finger hand for this one, as you can see. He looks pretty decent. For this hand holding the other end of the gun, you could probably use this hand or the open hand like this. Either one will be fine, but I'm just too lazy to switch both hands out. And I wanted to point out, switching the hands out is pretty easy actually. It's a little bit different than usual because it actually is like a peg hole and a little peg, which is a little different. Some other figures or different companies just have a a little stem coming out and little ridges. This one actually is a peg and a peg hole, so you gotta get it in there. But when you get it in there, you do feel a nice little socket going in, so it feels nice and secure. Now also, I do recall in the movie that I'm pretty sure a lot of you have noticed that when Batman is fighting Superman, he does have like a strap here, and I believe it is this gun right here. So you're gonna, if you want to do that, you're gonna have to maneuver it a little bit. Good thing that this opens up like that, and you might have a little bit of a gap underneath the cape. So let's just try to get it under and see how it looks like. Just give me 1 second and bear with me to try to get it through. Maybe this is easier. That. And there you go. Now now you have the gun clipped on. This is the strap that he has showing throughout the movie, and the gun is basically holstered onto his side right there. Can he also still, he can pretty much hold it still while it's attached. You just have to really maneuver the whole strap around like so. But be careful, you don't want to ruin or break anything. There you go. So that's how it'll look like. Not bad, pretty good. I mean, it's up to you if you want to keep it like that around his body like that. Now, before I go on with the rest of the review, I just want to say I love how it looks like with that little strap on him and the gun. It looks pretty good. I'm definitely going to have him posed on my display with that on. And it definitely looks pretty cool right there. Alright, now finally we are taking a look at the figure itself. And I have to say, it is a fantastic looking figure. It's going deep into some nice looks at it. You take a look at the helmet. You take a look at the paint job itself. It is just fantastic on him. The armor looks really nice looking. Going down, you see some scratches. We'll get more into the quality and the materials and stuff like that. But just taking a look at the armor itself on the outside, very nice looking, very good. I also love the fact that underneath the armor, as you can see, like there is the fabric that Mezco is known for. I'm not sure if it is actually a Batman suit underneath there, which it should be, right? But you can definitely see some designs in it, some lines, like over there. Going down to the rest of it, you see his belt right there looks pretty nice. Going down, just overall, you know, pretty much what you expect out of it, but it just looks really cool, and you can't deny that. Now, quickly taking a look at the back side of it, you can see the bulk definitely. It looks really nice. I know, I don't know what else to say about that. You can see for yourself. Really good detail. You can see the spine part right here, which is a nice touch to that. The paint work over there. You know, it's very minimal paint work, but it's just very effective. Looks pretty nice to see his little bat butt right there. Going down to the rest. Looks pretty nice. Alright, so now getting to the quality of the armor, I have to say it is fantastic. Some of it is metal, some of it is plastic, but you can definitely feel right off the bat which is metal. The whole chest piece itself is metal. You can definitely feel it. The whole back part already, it has some heft to it, which is nice as well. The shoulder parts right here, actually, I believe it is plastic, including the arms and the legs, but it's a very good quality plastic. It's very hard as well. Almost makes you think and believe at first touch that it is metal like the chest part, but it isn't. It's not. But that's just saying that this is just really good quality overall. And you know, going into articulation a little bit, all the armor is very, very, very good. You know, they really styled it pretty well. When you want to move the arm, like the bicep area, the whole thing moves. You need to bend it. It has joints right there, even at the legs as well. It's just fantastic how they do this. I can't believe how nice it is. I mean, I don't think they make an Iron Man for Mezco, but comparing it to any other third-party Iron Man figure, you would think it would be something like this, having a underbody like that, but having all the armor on top, just being so flexible, being able to move with the figure. And you would think, you know, with all its bulky armor, he wouldn't have great articulation, but really there is no problem, in my opinion, when it comes to articulation. So going to articulation really quickly, he does have a ball jointed head right there, so it's pretty self-explanatory. It does go down a little bit, pretty good. Goes up pretty well as well. Left and right, it does pivot left and right as well, so you have a lot of movement on the head right there. For the shoulder joints, like I said before, you know, these Mezco figures, they do have great articulation. Sometimes it might get hindered by the cloth itself, and adding the armor on top of this, I have to say the articulation is just great. You can't get around anything, you know, that makes you think or feel like it's bad. It might have some limitations because of the armor, but it really isn't that bad, honestly. Like, the shoulders do move a little bit. They go all the way around, as much as they could of the cloth restricting it, but it's decent right there. The arm goes all the way up. It goes to the side just a little bit, almost all the way as well, even with the shoulder pads right there. He does have a bicep swivel right there. One joint at the elbow right there, and at the wrist joint he does have a ball joint socket as I showed you before, but there is a hinge as well, so it goes back and forth and you could twist it to go up and down as well, so you definitely have a lot of movement right there. He does have an ab joint, but it's a little bit restricted, of course, because of the metal chest piece, but I don't really blame it really that much. I'm not that, I mean, you can't really move it that much, but honestly, he has all that metal up there. It's not something that you're going to worry that much about. You do get a little bit of movement out of it. You can't really show it that well, but it is there. And now going to the waist, he does have kind of a waist swivel. You can kind of feel it, but you don't want to force it, so don't even try to. For the hips though, he does have ball jointed hips, or T-jointed hips, you want to call it that. It goes all the way up, about that much, not bad at all. Goes back just a little bit. He does do a little bit of a split, but you do have it restricted from the cloth right there. But you can, honestly, he's wearing all this bulky armor. You don't expect that much flexibility out of him. He does have a thigh swivel over there, which does move, which is pretty good. He does have, I think he has two, it feels like he has two joints at the knee, but with the armor it looks like one, but I do believe it's two. I could be wrong there, but you see how much, it does bend about 90 degrees, so it's pretty good right there. And at the ankle, he does have a hinge, and it does pivot left and right. There's no toe articulation though, but it's good enough. And you can see in the bottom over here, he does have some spikes, which are very nice. Look at that. That looks pretty good. And you do have a peg hole on the bottom there for his display stand. So overall, when it comes to articulation, like I said, he does have a lot against him, having the cloth that already restricts articulation a little bit, the cloth material. Then he has all this bulky armor on him that could restrict him even more, but you're still surprised at how well he can move. And you know what? It might not have the best articulation, but it's definitely good enough. You can definitely get him some nice poses, and you wouldn't have a problem with him at all. Now, if I had to say one negativity toward this figure, it probably will be the cape. I do like the cape. It doesn't look that bad. It does naturally fold in a little bit over here, but it's pretty big. But that's not my biggest gripe about it. My biggest gripe about the cape itself is the fact that it's pretty thick. It's a pretty thick material. It's thicker than I'm usually used to. I have another Mezco Batman that has a lot thinner cape, which is pretty nice, and it droops down a little bit better. This is pretty thick. I don't know if it's purposely thick for this specific figure because he has all the armor and everything like that. And like, it's not horrible. It just you do feel like you wish it was a little bit thinner, but it definitely has some kind of look to it that's pretty worn out. And maybe it does go well with this armor. But if I had my own preference, I do wish the cape was a little bit thinner. Size comparison time. Now here is Batman with another Mezco Batman right here that a little modification to, but you can see, you know, they have basically the same kind of bulk, it looks like. Mezco does have a little bit of a bulkier figures in their collection compared to others, but seeing other figures that are coming out in the line, it looks like they are changing up the body sculpts to make them a little more realistic, which is pretty good. So hopefully I get more in the future. Now for another size comparison, here is Batman, Armored Batman with the Mattel version, and this is the Mattel version, but the more comic book slash animated movie version right there. And it's, as you can see, you know, you can see where it's coming from originally. You can see the other movie adaptation. Clearly you can see which one's better. Surprisingly, it's a little bit shorter, just a little bit shorter compared to the Mattel Multiverse version, but it does have a little bit more, I'm gonna say, thickness to it, but it's not terrible though. Surprisingly, that even though Mezco might have a bigger bulk in most of their figures, this one actually surprisingly looks pretty good no matter what. And I will compare him with the other figures like Superman in 1 second. And just quickly going back with the Mattel Multiverse figures right here. So here is Ben Affleck Batman right there, and here he is in his armored outfit. And like I said before, you know, even though Mezco might, you know, they have the reputation to have a little bit bigger, thicker figures, they actually look pretty good together. I could believe this is the size that will go into this one that has armor on, so it looks pretty nice, and I have no complaints here at all. Next up, stepping up to the plate, are the Maifix Batman figures. We have regular Batman right here from Maifix, and also here is the armored Maifix Batman right there. And it really comes down to preference, which one you like. You know, it's not bad when it comes to the size comparisons right here. Maifix figures do vary a little bit, but this Batman armored right here tends to be a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact compared to this one right here, but it is up to debate which one you like better. I will do a side-by-side comparison strictly with these two figures in a future episode, but right now you can see how they look like side by side. Next up right here, we do have our Superman figures, and this one right here is from the Mattel Batman v Superman multiverse line right there. And of course right here is the Maifix Superman, which I like a lot. I actually think these two fit pretty well together in size and also in height. Of course, Batman is a little bit more bulkier than Superman, but he is wearing the armor, and I think they match up pretty well. And here they are side by side in a closer look right there. That looks pretty good, and let's square them off just like that. Bring his head up a little bit more. There you go. Batman is a little bit bigger, of course, and that is definitely understandable and acceptable in my opinion. But like I said, I think these two look pretty well together side by side. And for a last size comparison, here is Wonder Woman from the Maifix line next to Batman and Superman, so you can see how they look like. I know a lot of people are a little iffy about her as a figure, but I actually like her a lot, and I think she looks pretty well, and it's going to fit in pretty nicely with your movie 6-inch figures right there. And as an added bonus, here are some model figures just to show you how they look like side by side. These are the Figma, Iron Man, and Hulk figures, and they look pretty good. You know, all these movie figures look pretty nice overall. Alright, so overall I have to say I love this figure. I wasn't expecting that much out of it, but I know it looked cool because, you know, I had a Mezco Batman before, and I know sometimes the fabric can get a little bit restricting. Added on with all this armor, who knows how good it could be. But I have to say I am very impressed by this figure. Maybe because my expectations were kind of low, I didn't have that much great expectations for it, but you know what, man, he is pretty good. I do have to also add in that he does have kind of a shoulder joint right there that goes back and forth, which is pretty nice. But yeah, that's just one of many things why this figure is just so dang cool. Articulation is great. The paintwork on him is awesome. The accessories, man, the lights on his eyes are just awesome as well. But the accessories themselves are really good. Probably the best Batman accessories I've ever seen or ever have so far in my collection, including the Grappling Gun, the Kryptonite Gun as well right here. Everything looks awesome. Don't forget about the spear with the Kryptonite spear on it. There's so many things about this that I have to say it makes it a fantastic Batman figure overall. And don't get me wrong, there are some negativities to it. Like I said before, I don't like how thick the cape is. The size doesn't matter to me, but the thickness is a little bit of a bother, if you want to say that. The articulation isn't the greatest, but it's definitely good enough. I don't think you're going to be losing any sleep over how to pose him because he is a little bit limited because of the armor. But with that being said, he still could get into awesome poses. The head could definitely get some lot of poses as well. You get his arms up pretty much any way you want, and you won't have a problem, even with the armor, shoulder armor, and everything like that. It's just the way they really made this figure. Everything just moves really well everywhere you point it, so that shouldn't be a problem, but I'm not gonna lie and say that he has the best articulation. That being said, definitely is a great figure. I know he is not the easiest to get or find because I think he was a exclusive, but if you get your hands on it, if you see him, I say just buy it. This is just a great looking figure overall, and even the size isn't bad, you know. You could definitely pair him up with other figures like the Maifix Superman. He looks pretty good. They look good together. I don't think you have a problem with it. And I know that the DC Collectibles is coming out with their new one, the Armored Batman, which will be a little bit cheaper, obviously, and definitely has some great accessories and features to it itself. But I don't know, man. There's something about this with the cloth underneath it, with the metal armor on it, the lights on his head, just screams great quality. And yeah, I don't know. I could praise this figure as much as I can, but hopefully this review will show you guys yourself if you like it or not. So, with that being said, that is about it, guys. Thank you for watching. Like always, comment, criticize, subscribe. Do whatever you want to pay attention. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And go to wildlandcustoms.com. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Peace!